think by definition, if you support something, you belong to it. So yes, I feel like I'm part of a community.
West Brom have been part of my life for the past 50 years. It's part of my family's history. It's been passed down from generation to generation. It's such a significant part of my life, I can't imagine it ever being any different.
I was brought up as an Albion fan. My family are West Brom fans, so it was the be-all and end-all.
West Bromwich Albion is an institution that generates loyalty and devotion amongst its supporters. But whilst this is clear on an individual level, what is harder to explain is the community of belonging and identity that fans feel to the football club. So, is there a genuine West Bromwich Albion community?
Football, the beautiful game. Watched and played by billions across the globe, football is a truly unique social force that unites people of all different colours, creeds and beliefs into communities the world over. It was along these alleyways and on the surrounding streets that I got my first taste of the beautiful game and the community sense that it can envelop. As a West Bromwich Albion supporter, I feel part of a greater Albion community, with fellow fans through my shared identity as a supporter of the club. But surprisingly, given this is a relatively common phenomenon amongst football supporters, little scholarly research has been done into the topic. So why is that? The answer, of course, is how it is difficult to pinpoint these fans' communities with empirical evidence. Whilst it is common knowledge amongst football fans that these communities exist, it is incredibly difficult to apply direct physiological, sociological and psychological theories to the matter. Henceforth, scholars have tended to shy away from the topic, meaning there is a complete lack of scholarly research. However, recently, things have begun to change. In 2007, Richard Tacken of Birkbeck University London, a psychologist, produced this report. Despite a lack of evidence, he claimed boldly and unequivocally that football supporters do feel a sense of community, with supporters of the same team as them. This was soon followed by a more substantial paper from Neil Cook. He studied fans' behaviour at 3 different Premier League grounds and claimed that there was a communal identity among supporters through their active participation in supporting the same team. In other words, a sense of belonging. To explore these ideas with relation to West Brom, however, we need to know a bit more about the club's nature and its history. I went to speak to Chris Lepowski, writer for the Birmingham Mail and author of In Pastures Green, a highly regarded account of the club in the post-millennium era, to find out more.
Well, I mean, it was founded in 1878. The club, as they were known then, the Strollers, were emerged from a spring factory in Wednesbury. They had several homes. They moved to West Bromwich, and they've evolved really as a club over that time. They, like all clubs of similar size, they've hit difficult periods. They've had a success. They've won the league once in 1920, won the FA Cup 5 times, won the League Cup once. They've played represented England in the UEFA Cup, in the European Cup Winners' Cup. So they've had a fairly decent innings as a football club over the last decade. The one thing West Brom perhaps struggled with was they weren't part of the initial Premier League bandwagon. So it was imperative they got there, which they did in 2002, and they've been frequent residents, if you like, of the Premier League since. I think certainly in this area, in the West Midlands, if you're looking at a pecking order, if you like, they'd probably be joint second with Wolves after Aston Villa, I would imagine. But you know, they've sort of grown as a decent football club.
Albion then clearly have a very proud history and a very proud set of fans to match. But does that equate to a sense of community amongst said supporters? Well, as aforementioned, it's incredibly difficult to empirically pinpoint. However, I've come up with an ingenious solution to get around this problem. Rather than throw a load of complex and, frankly, boring psychological theories at the matter, I decided to cut straight to the heart of the issue, going out and asking the fans themselves.
I mean, the football's tribal, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, obviously I'm from Dudley, so you've got Wolves, some Villa, Albion. So it was a good mix when we were kids growing up, but yeah, you always belong to your team. Do you know what I mean? It's tribal.
You go to the match and the same people are there and you do have a connection with them. You wouldn't describe them as friends, but there's certain people that you share something with, and in that respect you are part of that community. And it's the same when you go to away matches, because when you go to away matches you'll see Albion supporters in motorway service stations, and again they are complete strangers, but there is that connection because you are Albion fans together.
I have a connection with a lot of people that I don't know personally. Like the people who sit around us, we all know each other, but like we don't know each other's names. So it comes sort of naturally, really.
You can talk to anyone up here. Same with every football ground, I suppose. Do you know what I mean? Because we've all got our common ground is obviously the Albion, it's a common theme. So you can talk rubbish all day if you want.
The overwhelming evidence from the interviews would suggest an Albion community, and it seems that this feeling even extends to those fans who don't regularly attend games.
You know, the way, not just because you don't come here doesn't mean you can't support a team. Yeah, exactly. You know, you still get that feeling of disappointment when they lose, even though you haven't been to the game.
Yeah, I think they're quite friendly. In general, they're quite friendly, and yes, I'm happy to be here. I don't feel like an outsider. No.
Yeah. To further add to this stack of evidence of an Albion community existing, I took a spot poll outside the Hawthorns on a match day to see if the Albion fans did feel like they were part of an Albion community on a snap decision. Of the 137 Albion fans I asked in the poll, a staggering 132 of them said they felt part of an Albion supporters community and felt that they belonged to that community. So then, the answer would appear to be an unequivocal yes. There does appear to be the existence of a mutual Albion sense of belonging. So then, the next question to address is, what is the nature of that community? What does it entail? And what makes it tick? Well, the simple answer would appear to be, it's in your blood.
I'll say traditionally it was a family club. The demographic is as such that grandparents, great-grandparents who were traditionally from West Bromwich maybe supported the club. That's been passed down via children and so forth. And certainly myself, my parents came over my dad came over in 1948 from Poland, my mum came over a few years later, and it was the football club I was born into. It was my local club. My sister, or one of my two sisters, supported it, supported West Brom and still does.
Well, mine's from my dad used to bring me up when I was a kid. Yeah. His dad used to do the same with him and his dad before him, and I'll bring my kids sometimes. So it's you sort of belong from, I suppose you inherit it from your parents, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, Dad used to bring me up when I was a lad and I didn't enjoy it, and then in August '76 when I was 15 I got a season ticket. They bought me a season ticket and I've seen every game at the Albion without missing one single game since that date, just under 950 games.
I mean, I've been supporting them for in excess of 50 years now, and it was passed down because of my father's support for the club and previously his father's support for the club, and that's how it's gone on for generations, and I'm sure we're not the only family for which that's the same.
I'm a diehard, yeah. My dad supported the club, and my grandfather, who was killed at Gallipoli in the First World War, I believe he even supported the club. He used to come to games, you know, before 1915, so yeah.
It stands to reason then, because of the family nature of the supporters community, that the initial geographical hub of the community was here, in West Bromwich town centre itself, which you can just see over my right shoulder there. However, in modern times there has been a geographical divergence of the Albion community, which Chris Lepowski picks up on.
It would be interesting to know how many West Brom fans now come from West Bromwich. Migration means that a lot of people who maybe whose grandparents maybe originated in West Bromwich traditionally have moved on to other areas of the Black Country or Birmingham, places such as Hagley, Stourbridge, Worcester, Bromsgrove, Droitwich, heading further north, maybe Sutton Coldfield, Lichfield. You know, these are areas that aren't traditionally West Brom areas, but have become so over the last 20 or 30 years.
Logic would suggest that with increasing geographical deference, then the Albion community would become more and more dispersed as the need to travel to games became greater. So why hasn't that happened? The answer, of course, lies in modern technology.
Everything that comes through on Twitter that I follow, most of my Twitter followers are West Brom fans, so I always trying to keep in touch with what's going on with them. I also, as well, living out here, not close to the ground and to the West Midlands, try and follow like the local papers on Twitter as well to find out what's going on, so I'll keep myself informed in that respect.
Twitter has helped, social media, Twitter in particular, has helped bring people together. I myself have met new people through Twitter who I didn't know existed. They simply migrated from message boards and forums, which I wasn't part of, to Twitter, where I was and do have a presence, and you get to meet new people. Fans get to interact with each other, and I think there has been, there is still that community feel.
So then, from the evidence seen here, it seems like the Albion community has been able to adapt itself to the increasing geographical divergence of its fans away from the geographical centre of the club through the use of modern technology and social media. However, there is a more deep-rooted problem that could affect the Albion community in the future, and that is the club's success. The club is currently enjoying a very, very difficult season in the top flight, positioned currently only just above the relegation zone, with their top flight status barely intact. So, is the fan sense of community diminished when the club is doing worse on the pitch? Chris Lepowski thinks so.
If West Brom were to get relegated this season, I think you'll see a filtering out of certain kind of fans, and I'm not trying to be a snob here, but there are some fans who are seduced by the Premier League product, the Premier League status, who maybe don't have the same appetite for supporting the club in the Championship. That's not to say they're not West Brom fans, but it's a lot of money to pay ultimately for a year. It's a lot of money to pay game by game, and you can't blame people for thinking, well, am I really going to go and buy a season ticket to watch, with all due respect, Peterborough or Derby County or QPR? People want to see Man United, they want to see West Brom, they want to see their team competing with the best.
So, what is the fans' analysis on the role that the club's on-field success plays in their off-field supporters' community?
I think the true supporter supports whatever division they're in, but there are a few thousand or 10,000 floating supporters that will only support the club when they're in the Premier.
No, I think if it's in your blood, it doesn't really matter. Obviously, you come up here to see the team win, but as long as you feel that they've performed to the best of their ability, you got to be happy with that.
Because you'll always get more fans come along in a club. It doesn't matter what club it is, whether it's West Brom or any club, they're doing well. You know, you get more fans following.
Yeah.
But having said that, if you're a loyal supporter, it doesn't matter how well they're doing, you're always going to support them. You know.
All fans get disgruntled at some point and start disbelieving, but you just got to keep the faith, and we'll keep coming up. Even if we get relegated, we'll still be here next season, and probably the season after if we come back up or go down again. But you can't just stop coming.
The question is then, what does the future hold for the Albion supporters community? The honest truth is, it's impossible to say. The number of variables and factors that could affect the future state of the sense of belonging Albion fans feel to the club are simply too great to quantify. However, the most logical answer could lie through looking at the club's history.
I think to the general footballing family, West Brom were the vanguards of certainly introducing black footballers to their team. I mean, it was by no means unique to have black footballers at football clubs, but when you consider that West Brom had three at once in the late 1970s, then the example I always throw up is that Everton, for instance, the so-called People's Club, as David Moyes christened them, didn't have a black player until the late 80s, which goes to show really where West Brom were as a club. And it maybe did underline the diversity of the area, and West Bromwich and Handsworth is, you know, it borders Handsworth, West Bromwich does. So there is that diversity in the cultures anyway, but in terms of attracting fans, I don't think there's been a significant impact as yet. Maybe in the 20 years when some of the migrants have children, those children become interested in football. If West Brom are still the kind of club they are now, a peripheral club in terms of Premier League status, then maybe they'll get new fans through that.
So, from that speculative forecast, it appears that the Albion supporters community could be heading for a more ethnically diverse future. However, I think it's probably best for Albion fans to stick to what they know in the here and now.
As with all football fans, there's a sense of community, a sense of loyalty and togetherness. I think with West Brom it's quite strong and has been over the years. The supporters club secretary once famously said before a game at United that one of Albion's wins is the same as 10 wins to Man U fans, and by what he meant to that is that when you support a club like West Brom, a victory does actually really mean something. It really does make unite. You don't go home thinking, well, we've only just beaten little old Coventry or little old West Brom or little old Birmingham or Villa. For West Brom fans, every win is celebrated as it should be.
My personal devotion and pride in supporting West Bromwich Albion Football Club is something that I know is only shared by other Albion fans. And it's this that for me personally creates such a tangible yet ineffable sense of community amongst Albion fans. Perhaps nothing reflects the nature of this Albion community more than where I am currently sitting, the Hawthorns Memorial Garden, a memorial to all deceased West Bromwich Albion fans who want to be remembered as part of the everlasting West Bromwich Albion community. And I think it's representative of the undying nature of what we have here. It's fantastic that come rain or shine, that the Albion fans will always have the same unbridled feeling of passion and love for their football club. And that is something that is shared no matter who you are, as long as you're an Albion supporter. It's that, for me, that makes supporting West Bromwich Albion Football Club so special.